All right, we got the expert shaft handler right here, Rob, the tune maker, shoemaker.
Excellent.
Hey, what's up? Ken from Palm Beach Dyno here. Today, we've got the 7.3 liter Godzilla behind us. This is in our F250 Super Duty. We got this truck specifically for 7.3 liter development. So far, all we've done is a full exhaust. It has American Racing 2-inch primary long tube headers, and we did that to get ready for, first off, this modification right here. This is the head and cam package from Willis Performance. Our buddy Brian Wolf, who has been leading the 7.3 development for quite some time, came out with this package. You've seen these tested on the engine dyno, but this was probably one of the first times you're going to see it on an actual vehicle, especially a normal everyday vehicle, not a race car, which is what he's working on. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna go ahead and baseline the truck. We've dynoed the truck before, but we haven't had it back on there since the exhaust and some more fine tuning that's become available. So we're gonna go ahead and baseline it now on the tune that it came in on, and then we're gonna make some changes to it, extend the RPM range, maximize the tune, then we'll put the heads and cam in and see what kind of power it picks up. First graph we're going to look at is the tune the truck came in on. This is what I've been driving on. It wasn't on the dyno with this tune. It was on 87 octane. The truck had 93 octane in the tank, but this was an 87 octane tune I was working on for a customer. That was in the truck. 361, 426. And at this point, we weren't really spinning it. There was a factory rev limiter that has now been found, so we're able to spin it higher. So this is where we wound up after some fine tuning on 93 octane and extending the RPM range, 397 and 450. Now, one important thing to note, dynoing these vehicles in different gears gets, will change the numbers around a little bit, and with the 10-speed transmission and a truck that you don't really want to spin or run to a real high speed, you're not going to dyno into 1-to-1 gear. This was in 5th gear. Sometimes we do 5th, 6th, kind of depends on the tire size. So this was the best number that we did in 5th gear, but I did go ahead and pull it in 6th gear because I was curious. And the final number there was 408 horsepower and 458 torque. So that's quite an impressive number right there, considering this is in a truck setup. With a transmission that probably has a little bit more loss than, say, a 10R80. This is a 10R140, much bigger transmission. Everything's bigger. Drivetrain loss has to be much, much higher. This is a 4-wheel drive. It's going through the transfer case. So to put down 408 and 458 is awesome. So now it's time to swap the camshaft. All right, Doug's got quite a bit done already. He's got the radiator out, the fan off. He's working on the top end. But I wanted to show you guys some other things about these heads. This is a typical stock spark plug, which is the same style plug that a lot of late model vehicles use nowadays. These are in Coyotes. These are even in the Gen 5 Viper. So as part of this chamber design on these ported heads, this piece is usually much larger stock.
So as it was cut back, it allowed them to set these heads up for the shorter reach plugs that are much, much cheaper. Let me get it out here for you guys to show you. So this is typically like in a older GT500. When I say older, like 07 to 14 is what you would use this plug for, 03 Cobra, things like that. So that makes the plug swap much cheaper. And I happen to have a nitrous kit sitting over there. And now that I'll have a nice head cam package on my truck, maybe we'll do nitrous and be needing to swap out plugs pretty often. The other thing I wanted to show you is on the camshaft. The easiest way to set this up would be to get an extra bolt for the camshaft and then weld a bar onto it. Either way, this is a very large camshaft. It'll be a little bit difficult to get in. I tried to order a new cam bolt. I couldn't get it. There's lots of things you can't get right now. So this is what I came up with. This is a socket with a long extension on it. I put a little bit of tape on it, and then we'll be able to use this to help lift it up and install it. Definitely not as nice as the cam bolt would be, but it's gonna work. Anyway, Doug's gonna keep working here, and we'll show you some more when we've got more to show you. All right, a lot more progress. Got the intake manifold off. One interesting thing is we were not running a catch can, and you can see here on the intake ports, really, really nasty. The inside of the intake had a coating of oil. Obviously the engine's running fine. We dynoed it right before this, so it's not a big deal, but I will definitely be doing a catch can on this setup moving forward. So next big thing will probably be take off the crank pulley, disassemble the rest of that side, and then the heads will come off, front cover, or probably front cover first, I'm not sure, and then we'll get to the camshaft. So definitely a big job, but should be well worth it. What do you think, Doug?
Not bad. Definitely not a coyote, but we're getting through it.
Yeah,
Pretty simple.
time consuming, but like any real big problems. I guess the fan was the hardest part so far. Just getting a big enough wrench, right?
Yeah, pretty much. This bolt was just massive compared to anything. I guess it's just normal truck stuff that we're not really used to, but
yep.
Not bad.
What's left is he's taking off the power steering pump now, the crank pulley, probably the AC needs to move out of the way, and then we should be able to pull the front cover off.
The header's off, and pull the heads.
Yeah, the headers still need to come off. There's one nut off there. We got to get everything else off, and then once we get the front cover off and can see more, we'll check back in. All right, after struggling with the front cover, how easy was that, Doug?
Not the easiest.
We were able to pop it off. Basically, there's some pry spots there. There's one down there, which I'm not sure if you can see.
Hit some spots with the mallet.
Yeah, smash it a few times.
Break the sealant loose.
Let's go ahead and pull that off and see what we got.
Here it comes. Oh, we're missing some cam chains.
Oh, look at that. This is like alien technology to us. There you go. That's the oil pump down there, and then obviously this is the actuator for the variable cam. It does have variable cam timing, just one cam. So next up, I guess we'll pop the heads off. at Rob with a pushrod head in his hand.
I love it.
Coyote tuner. Oof. Now, this is a good example of, right here you can see the spark plug boss. I guess that what you'd call it. It's pretty big there. Oh, I don't have the head. Flip that up on you real quick. And then, so you can see here, it's really laid over. It's barely a bolt, you know, barely sticking out there. And then here's this one again. It's kind of hard to see. See, it's really big, so that's one way to get the shorter plug in there. So let's take a quick look at the Pistons. Man, this thing looks like it has a good amount of miles on it. Looks like the PCV system sucks in quite a bit of oil. I think, fix that. You didn't happen to see the mileage, did you? I think it has like 12,000 miles on it so far. Having fun, Doug?
Not really, but we're getting through it. You know, the last side's always the tough side.
Are we trying to get out the studs?
Yeah, we got all the studs out now. We're just getting the last couple of head bolts out. Pull the other head.
All right, cool. All right, here comes the second head.
Here we go. Oh, we got some water.
All right, looks about like the same as the last one.
Just
All right.
leave it on there.
Well, in this case, guys, you know, you really should use new gaskets, but we cannot get them. So we're gonna just reuse these. We do have new head bolts, so we're being a little extra careful taking the gaskets off. Anyway, next up is we'll figure out how to get the camshaft out and show you that here in just a few minutes. All right, onto the camshaft. This setup requires some special tools, two different ones actually. The first one is a spline socket. That's to break it loose. And then you have this tool here, which holds the gear. So Doug's gonna hop up in there and we'll go ahead and try and break it loose. So that tool there holds it. Yeah, there you go. No, I think it's...
There you go.
There you go. Looks like that breaker bar was definitely needed. All right, we'll go ahead and take this off. I want to help Doug and put the camera down, and we'll show you what we got when we get it apart. Okay, behind the timing components, after we took those off, was this plate. We already took it off, but then I realized we didn't shoot the video, so we just threw it back on there. So behind there are these three bolts. Go ahead, Doug. Pull that plate off, and then right behind there, that's the end of the camshaft. Ready to pull the camshaft out. We went ahead and pulled the lifters out just to be sure they don't drop down. Man, this is gonna be tough. Actually. Out. It's locked up. There we go. All right. That was a little difficult. It's much easier to just unbolt cams on a mod motor, but it's only one, so. All right, we'll get this ready to put the new one in and start putting it back together. Okay, let's take a quick look at the two camshafts side by side. The main two things you're gonna look at are the shape of the lobe, so you can compare this lobe to that lobe, and you can see that lobe is much fatter, have more duration. And then the other real interesting thing to look at is the lobe separation. You can see here, these two lobes have quite a bit of spread between them, where these two are a lot tighter. There, and I knew the stock cam had quite a bit of lobe separation. You can actually hear it. So we're gonna go ahead, get this cam installed and see what kind of power we make, but we got a long way to go before we get it back together, obviously. So, all right, we got the expert shaft handler right here. Rob, the tune maker, shoemaker.
Excellent. Let's kind of get it all lubed up, like.
We're all mod motor guys, but he's worked on Pushrod since he was 5, so.
Sadly, they've been around.
That's South Jersey Junkyard.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Friendship Junkyard. Born and raised. All right, we'll start with that. All right.
Better solution, which he didn't even really need on that front piece. I guess he will here. For some leverage, we're using a socket on an extension, but buying a spare cam bolt and welding it onto a tube would be better. We just don't have we tried ordering a spare cam bolt and we could not get it.
There you go. So make sure it's all the way flipped out. So.
There we go, boom. Done. Doug's getting ready to torque down the camshaft. 70 Newton meters to start. Then back it back off. All right, loosen. Now back to what?
55.
All right, now we're gonna go back to 55 now. Remember, most factory torque specs are in Newton meters, so don't make that mistake. That would be a bad mistake. So, most torque wrenches have a reading for Newton meters, or this electronic snap-on, you can just change the displayed units with a quick tap of the button.
And then you want to add 90 degrees.
Obviously, with something like this, you can just know you turned it 90 degrees. This just makes it a little bit easier to be sure, especially when you're having to ratchet it. As you can see here, it's adding it up. Okay, setting something like this up is not easy with the angle deal, so we got it close, but then you do a checking torque. So Doug's doing that right now. So right now, it beeped at like 130. So 130, the checking torque is between what, Doug?
100 and 180.
100 and 180, so we're at 137. I'm happy with that.
I got that.
Put a head bolt in there to kind of help locate the head a little bit easier when you're in the car.
She's on.
Wow, that one went easy. Head gasket's on. Always use a new head gasket, unless you're us, and we're using the old one because we couldn't get a new one. This thing's gonna come back apart sooner than later anyway. After we make all this crazy power NA, then we're gonna spray it. If it doesn't blow up, then we're gonna put a Whipple on it, and then once we blow it up, we're gonna put a built motor in this thing. Hoping for 1,000 horsepower out of it, and at the end of the day.
Cool.
Down.
Down in the back. Down in the back. I think you're. There you go. The front seems like it's on the dial.
You go forward. Forward.
Forward?
You sure? Yeah, you're probably on the wrong side of the dial.
Yep.
That's your problem. There you go.
There.
Nope. Almost.
Forward now.
There you go.
Nope.
No, it's not.
Nope. I'm looking at the head bolts. Trying to close. Right there. Go backwards. Down. Backwards. Right there.
He's gonna drive it.
Oh, it's heavy.
You sure everything's good?
Set it and forget it.
It's usually right when you put the right head on.
Yeah. Earlier we put the wrong head on, so that's what we're talking about. All right, no, we're not gonna put that in. We're working through the torque sequence on the heads. It's quite involved. You've got 25 Newton meters, 50 Newton meters, 100 Newton meters, so that's 3 rounds. Then 90 degrees, which I just got done. Doug is doing the next 90 degrees here, and then we'll do a last 30 degrees as the final torque sequence. One cool thing that I'll try to show you here is Doug's got, see the wrench tells you how many degrees you've turned it. This is a 90-degree sequence. Your other option is to mark the head bolt and just look at the bolt, but this makes you moving a little bit quicker, so you can see there on the display. It's gonna, as you ratchet it, it keeps track, so it's a full 90 degrees, even with ratcheting it. So anyway, he's finishing up this side, and then we have one more sequence at 30, and keep going. Rocker arms are on, push rods are in. Well, push rods went in, then rocker arms went on. Everything's all torqued down. Pretty much all that's left to do is, what's left to do, Doug?
I do the front cover, the valve covers, intake, and then button up the rest of the truck. Not much.
Pretty much most of the hard stuff's done. Mostly just button up work. So we'll roll a time lapse, and then we'll see you when we're ready to start it. All right, Doug's got everything back together, getting ready to put the radiator back in, but I wanted to show you while we have it open. I would say the difficulty level of this is not super high. It's just extremely time consuming. If you're consider yourself fairly good with a wrench, you can do this, I'd say. One important thing to remember is there's 2 special sockets you need to reinstall the crank pulley. We had to get a longer reach balancer install tool. What else, Doug? Anything else? What else? Like
the nut for the fan is extremely big, so you're probably not going to have something for that. But,
yeah, let's show them that real quick. This nut back here for the fan, I believe Ford has a special tool for it.
Well, we got one right here. It's a 47 millimeter.
Did you buy that?
Yeah.
Check it. All right, hold on. I'm trying to get a picture of it up. Anyway, you see it back there. There's a huge nut there. There we go. Focus just like that. And then you need this big ass wrench to get it off.
47.
Yep. So little things like that. So the 2 sockets, that wrench for the fan, long reach balancer install tool. That's pretty much it. The rest of it is just normal unbolt and bolts. So anyway, we're gonna get it the rest of the way back together. Fire it up. All right, Doug's got the truck all the way back together. Right now it's open header, but we can't wait to hear it. Plus, I'm sure it's gonna sound cooler open header. So we're gonna go ahead and fire it up. Go ahead, Doug.
together. This is the first pull. Let's see what it makes. That first pull didn't go too smooth, but that was due to tuning. When that happens, I kind of forget about the video for a little bit. I got real absorbed into tuning, did a lot of pulls to figure it out. It was a little bit difficult, but we've got some great results. So let's head over to the dyno computer and see what it makes. All right, time to go over the numbers. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. But first, let's back up a little bit. 408 and 458, that's where we left off with the truck on the baseline. Then, and the reason this drug out a little bit with the dyno pulls is the first pull I did was 421 and 464. Obviously, as you can see from the dyno curve, this is not a parts issue, this is a tuning issue. As the power goes up, boom, and this one did a number on me. It took me quite a few tries. Here it's even worse, barely picking up any power. But I did get it figured out, and this is where we wound up. Let me just put the two up that you need to look at, which is this one here and this one here. From 408 to 457 and from 458 torque to 478. This is quite a pickup, and we're really not done now. We have to call it a day. We ran a little late on the dyno. We've got to get to some customers' car, but there's some things I want to do with cam timing, some idle things that I want to work out to get it to sound right. Not to artificially make it sound right, but this is one thing that happens a lot with late model cars or vehicles with, once you put a camshaft in them. What happens is the factory computer is always trying to maintain a very, very tight idle. Once you put a camshaft in there, that's not possible. And if you don't adjust things correctly, you wind up with the car jacking the timing up and down super fast. And it's like, rat, 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 and no camshaft really sounds like that. Not pointing fingers, but I hear a lot of Corvettes like that. Obviously, I don't hear a lot of Mustangs like that because we have VCT, 4-cam and all that, so it's not going to happen in those cars. But in other cars, I hear that a lot. So this is something I'm going to work on. We're going to get the truck unstrapped from the dyno, and we're going to go take it for a ride right now. So don't go away yet. We still got to drive it. Coming up, next video, we're going to be doing a 1320 Junkie Performance intake, a larger throttle body, and we're just going to put together a, throw together cold air kit of a larger diameter just for test reasons to see if we can extend this much higher. We're looking for this to really keep going, but we're really limited by the factory intake manifolds. But we're talking pretty much 50 horsepower. This should feel significantly faster, especially with the 10-speed where it's going to stay up in this range. So let's go ahead and take it for a drive and see what happens. Rinsed it off real quick. This is a real work truck. It's a little dirty. It's been raining a lot here. It's also doesn't even have a key fob, no cruise control, roll up windows. We're real fancy here at Palm Beach Dyno. All right, obviously when it first starts up, it's gonna be a little higher idle. We'll let it go ahead and settle down, do a nice little walk around. Pretty much this is a fleet vehicle. All I did was change the front lip to the tremor deal.
put the back flip on, tint the windows, and obviously the wheels and tires. So I was already warmed up, so it came down to idle pretty quickly there. So let's take a look at that. See, as you can see there, it's a nice rolling idle like it should. It's not super choppy, artificially choppy from the timing jumping up and down. It's, you know, that's mostly the camshaft. And we can calm it down a little bit through the tune-up if that's what you want. It does shake the truck a little bit, but that's what some people want. So as you can see here, got the water bottle there. You can see just sitting here at idle. It's actually idling a little high. It hasn't come all the way down yet. It goes down to like 550 or 500, I think. All right, so first off, let's just take it for a normal drive. And what you'll see is, drives pretty normal. You know, I would say with this setup, with this exhaust, it's, you know, maybe a hair extreme for daily driving, but it depends. Depends on how old you are, I guess. If you hear some stuff banging around, I got some stuff in the bed. Like I said, this is our shop truck. We use it for everything. Some cans on the floor over there. All right, anyway, we'll just do some nice half throttle accelerations. It's in 6th gear, 35 miles an hour. Man, that feels really fast, and that's just half throttle. Obviously, just a light kick down. Finally got that green light. All right, this is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna be able to hit it down this ramp. So I'll hit it from like a 40 here. It just keeps pulling and pulling and pulling. I hope you guys are enjoying this because this is very difficult to drive with this camera on my head. Anyway, all right, what I'm going to show you here is just some passes. So you're cruising along, somebody's slow in front of you. Here comes a pickup. Let's get out of his way. Whoa. Man, that's just so awesome. Like, I don't know how good this camera's picking up the audio, but it sounds awesome. So let's try that one more time. Here's a real good example. You're cruising down the highway 65 and you need to pass somebody. Man, this thing is a beast. Unbelievable. Like, the way this thing pulls at speed for such a big truck is really kind of crazy. So, full drive dig. Let's see what happens. That feels pretty fast. As you can see there, it's a little slow out of the hole. That one was pretty good though. That didn't feel too bad. I'll give you guys one more listen to the exhaust before I sign off. Right now it's all warmed up, so this is like full warm idle. It just sounds so cool. I'm really, really happy with it.
Okay guys, that's all we have for this video. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and we'll see you on the next one.